What's going on, Phillies fans? Welcome into the Phightins final. I'm Big Al, your host tonight, filling in for Pat because he'll be filling in for me tomorrow. We flip-flopped a little because if you just missed it, he was just on with my boy Chris over at the Steel Steps. Great interview by the guys earlier, and the other guys are out covering some great independent local wrestling. So if you're a big wrestling fan or kind of into wrestling or used to love wrestling but would love to get back into it, follow the Steel Steps here at EOP. Great articles coming out once or twice a week easily, on top of a great show every Friday night. But right now we're going to be talking your fighting Phillies, which didn't have much fight in them tonight. Dropped the third in the row. Phillies are struggling. It's like you can't win. I mean, the other teams that are in front of you are losing, and so are you. The only team that keeps winning is Atlanta for the most part. But the Phillies fall to the Cleveland Guardians. Now, bear with me because I know about 3 or 4 times tonight I will drop the Indians and call them the Indians. I'm 40 years old. They were the Indians my entire life, so just bear with me. But they lost 6-5 in Cleveland at Progressive Park. Um, and there's a lot to digest here, and most of it not good. Let's go through the storylines first. The first big storyline before the game even got played was Mr. Bryce Harper at first base. Today he made his debut at first base. Bryce Harper did a good job. I mean, I don't know if anybody's shocked or surprised that he did a good job. He is a generational talent, a term I don't like throwing around too much, but I'm going to use it with him. Generational talent. He's the kind of guy who works on it. You know, when he was given the opportunity, and they were talking this a couple months ago, he was going to take it very seriously. So for him to flourish there doesn't shock me at all. But he did have a moment where he made an amazing circus-like catch to get the out, falling into the camera well, and here he is. Luckily, he fell and hit his arm that wasn't surgically repaired. But I mean, it was amazing. But I think my boy Joey Sheeran here at EOP, when he tweeted it out, said it best. What an amazing job, Bryce! But don't do that again. We need you. We need you healthy. We can't have this. We can't have this all the time. But it's nice to see Bryce Harper back in the field, which changed the lineup, allowed Schwarber to DH today, and they brought Jake Cave back up. Sent Derek Hall back down. Sent Drew Ellis back down, and reinstated Jake Cave and Josh Harrison today. I'm excited to see what Cave can do. I mean, he's been destroying it down in the minor leagues. I think it was batting like a 345 or something. We saw him have a good spring training. Got a little off kilt and then injured and sent back down. And this is his first time back up again. So interesting to see how he plays out. But again, I'm not resting my laurels on Jay Cave, but he actually did pretty well tonight. We'll get into that. But the storyline that is the negative side of things brings me to the 3 times the Phillies had plenty of chances to not just win this game, but win this game handily. Ranger Suarez did not have his best Ranger Suarez outing, but he did pitch okay. Just put it that way. But there was no offense for the Phillies for the most part. Up until the 6th inning. So the 6th and 7th inning, I should say. So that lies the same problem we were talking about. I've been talking about on the show with you guys. I've been, I kind of alluded to that. This is the team that they're going to be. This is the type of team that we're going to see in the Phillies. Doesn't make it any better. Doesn't make it easier to digest. But it is what it is at this point. But the Cleveland Guardians are just not a good team. I mean, they have been playing a little bit better of lately, but stringing some hits together, beating some teams, kind of. But this is not something that should happen. This just isn't, especially after losing the series. You just lost to the Brewers, which really would have helped you out in the standings. You had a great 3 out of 4 against San Diego, and then you just, I don't know. I know that Miami right before the All-Star break thing, it just This is the roller coaster ride. They've had so many opportunities. This team is the way, and Matty B's been making fun of me for it. I know where you've been, Matty B, saying like this just they are. This is who they are. This is who this Phillies team is. But doesn't make it any more fun to watch, especially these kind of games. But there's plenty of good games coming up, and there's plenty of good fun games. Don't get me wrong. It's just this one game in encapsulation is it just they were playing from behind the entire time, and they just didn't play well. And you can see the struggles, and we'll get into the other storylines in a moment. But like I said, there's gonna be plenty of good games locally and or anywhere, wherever you're at. And you want to get great tickets, you go to sherrystickets.com. I don't care where you're at, what part of the country you're at, you want or what event you want, sports, concerts, theaters, Phillies, Eagles, wherever. If you're in Cleveland and you want tickets there, go to sherrystickets.com. Use that promo code EOP10. Save that 10% on that already set great price. You saw that the stadium was filled tonight. So if you wanted decent tickets and you wanted to go, this would be the best place to go. The other guys, they're going to bamboozle you at checkout, and you're going to get these slapped with these fees that you didn't see into the end until you're ready to hit checkout. You will not get that at sherrystickets.com, and you will save 10% off by using that great promo code EOP10. So bases loaded 3 times. They could not take the opportunity. The only opportunity they ever took on a bases loaded is when the pitcher allowed a walk and they scored a run on it. That is not taking advantage. It was, good plate discipline, but the guy was just off. He was erratic, so it wasn't like a stretch of the imagination. They left 10 runners on base tonight. It's a big 10. It's a number I know Matty B and we all have talked about numerous times. But it's just these are the things that are going to hurt a team and make it difficult. Another player who has struggled of lately, who's been usually for the most part of the season Mr. Consistent. I don't like jumping on him, and it goes back further than 10 games. But I'm just looking at the most recent 10 games for Mr. Nick Castellanos. He is struggling. He is batting a 128 in the last 10 games. He has 5 hits, 1 home run, 3 RBIs, and one run scored. And that is it. If you go back 15 games, it doesn't look much better to be honest. And if you keep going back further, the stats, haven't been great as of lately. Still a batting average of 280. Actually, hold on. Yeah, 286. 286. But that was at 301 not too long ago. So it's dropping. He's struggling. He's kind of getting those bad, just wailing away, swinging at things that are not even close to being in the zone. Kind of some of the not great things that he got into last year that we talked about. So things that are correctable. Hopefully it's just a little bit of a slump. That's why I'm not jumping all over him. But it is something of a concern to keep our eye on moving forward. As we inch closer to the deadline, like I said, one game is a small sample size. Bryce Harper did well at first base, allowing Bryce, allowing that DH spot to be open, allowed Schwarber get off his feet and not have to play left field. And we saw the difference with Jake Cave out there from a defensive point stance, I should say, from a defensive stance. So just so you guys know, I know the question is, will he play again tomorrow? And the answer is no. He'll be back in the DH spot tomorrow. Kyle Schwarber will be in left field. So I guess I'll probably move Alec Boehm over to first, maybe a Mundo at third again, something along those lines. But they said already that they're not going to do a lot of back-to-back right away. They're going to kind of ease his way in, see how he's feeling. Maybe it'll become more back-to-back games in the next week or two, as long as there's no pain or tightness or especially after the tumble he took. It was an amazing circus-style catch, but everybody held their breath. Everybody just like, come on, Bryce, don't get hurt. Listen, the man puts his body on the line for the game, and you gotta love him for it. It's like we can't win. Feel bad for anybody, especially with this fan base. You just can't win. You don't put your body on the line, we're gonna boo you for it. You put your body on your line, we're gonna ask you to stop doing it. So it's kind of one of those lose-lose situations. But he did fall into the camera well. If for those who are just joining us, this is him in the camera well. Luckily, when he fell and he hit his arm, it was the non-surgically repaired arm that he hit. So hopefully he's okay, which I guess he was. He stayed in the game because I was, I believe, in the third inning. So he stayed on, played, batted the whole 9 yards, just fine. But the storyline is the big guys aren't coming up when we need them. Luckily, the younger guys like Stott and Bohm are, but there's got to be some more consistency. I think maybe with Nick struggling, we'll get into this when I go over the lineup tonight, because Trey continues to struggle when he has opportunities. We saw that tonight. And in the last 10 games, the Phillies are 4-6 or 4-6. So another thing that we need to look at, we need to keep our eye on that. That's going to come back to bite us. Luckily, San Fran's on a 3-game losing streak, which we'll talk about in a moment. Arizona lost tonight. Like I said, the Braves keep winning. So, I mean, I'm not saying I'm not looking for that first place spot, but at this point, just get ahead, get to that first place wild card, and put a little distance between those guys, and then work on the next step, one step at a time. This team, it's kind of like what Tomper has been doing all year long. This one game at a time, one step at a time. Well, that's how I'm looking at this. Keep moving up that wild card standings from the third to the second, from the second to the first, and then you worry about getting in the first place in the division, so you can lock yourself in and hopefully have a better, more home field advantage. But let's playoffs, and we're not even there yet. So let's worry about the game at hand. Like I said, for those who are just joining me, Phillies lost 6-5 to Cleveland in Cleveland for this first game of a 3-game series over the weekend. The Phillies are now 52-45 and second still in the NL East because Miami also lost tonight. So again, we didn't lose ground, but we had an opportunity to gain some ground. And this is the times they're going to bite us in the butt. So the team needs to hopefully just going through a little spell here and move it and take the rest of these next 2 games, win this series, because I believe you have the Orioles coming up, and they're a damn good team. So it's only going to get harder. So with that being said, real quick, guys, I want to remind you that I talked to you guys about Sherry's tickets. So no matter where you're at in the country, wherever you're at, what theaters, concert, all that stuff, I tell you can get tickets for. But what about you want to travel? You're like, I want to get out. I want to go hang out with the fans. I want to go to other cities. I want to get a feel for other cities. You go to phillysportstrips.com. The next Phillies one coming up is, technically the next one is the Pittsburgh series. That's sold out. You waited way too long to get it. But the one that is available right now, the ultimate trip to San Diego, to Petco Park, September 2nd to the 6th. San Diego is a beautiful city. If you haven't been there, you should get there just to get there. But go to Petco Park. It's, like I said, at this point, it's going to be very much playoff-style baseball, especially if this division stays as close as it is. So, even if San Diego kind of continues to meander where they're at, they may want to play spoiler. God only knows. We'll find out. But go to phillysportstrips.com. And also for the big one, it's not until next year. Get your deposits in now, because I know this will fill up. I know everybody's going to want to do this. The 2024 London baseball trip is coming up. Phillies and Mets in London. That's going to be just a cool time. Get locked up, because I know that seats and stuff are going to be very limited. Go to phillysportstrips.com. All right, let's go. Jeff's chiming in. Jeff, what's going on, bud? A very pathetic loss. It's a good point. It was pathetic. It was just they were limping along. I see what you mean by pathetic. I mean, I'm not saying they're pathetic, but it was a pathetic loss. So I can agree with that. They kind of limped along. They're always playing from behind. They showed a little life in that 6th and 7th inning, but it was the leaving the bases loaded 3 times in the game and not capitalizing on it. No good. That's no good, sir. Walter, my man Walter, chiming in. Just not a fan of Junior Marte. He needs to pitch at garbage time for now. I can see that, because Junior could either be hot, like the rest of the bullpen is, or he can, when he's cold, it's ice cold. And I see what you mean. I don't mind putting him in that position, but I mean, what do you do with him then? I mean, the pitching around, let's be honest, this is, if you go back and look at the last, 10 games or so, starting pitching has not been great. Hasn't been as crisp and solid as it has been prior, especially in June. But the bullpen still has a little bit of shakiness. I mean, guys are still workhorses, Craig Kimbrell, those guys they're workhorses. But it's the rest of them, hit or miss. You're gonna every inning's gonna be a little bit of a nerve-wracking inning, but Walt, I'm not disagreeing with you, man. I'm not disagreeing with you. Guys, keep chiming in. I love it. I love the back and forth. It's really fun. So feel free to chime back in. But I want to talk. Let's look at the lineup because then we'll get into the pitching. So here's your lineup. Like I said, Kyle Schwarber, he was 0 for 3, but 2 walks, so a little bit better plate discipline than usual. Well, not usual, but tonight. But struck out once, still with a measly 187 batting average. Trey Turner went 1 for 5, scored a run, and 2 strikeouts tonight. Nick Castellanos was 0 for 5 with 1 RBI and 2 strikeouts. Bryce Harper was 1 for 4, scored a run, walked once, but had 2 strikeouts of his own. JT Remuto, we'll get into his scoring, but he was 1 for 5, scoring 1 run, 2 ribbies, or scoring once and have 2 ribbies. Stott was, Stott, we always been saying about Nicky Bats, Mr. Consistency, but Stott, I know that you've been using the Chase Utley moniker, and a little too early for that. I hate putting that kind of pressure on young guys by putting Hall of Famer style names slapped to it, but I can see why people see it a little bit. I can see it. I can see why they can see the early stages if it's going to continue to happen. But Bryce Stott was 2 for 2, scored 2 runs, 1 ribby, 1 walk. He's batting a 307, best batting average on the team right now. Alec Boehm still struggling a little bit here and there, but he was 2 for 4 tonight with 1 strikeout. Brandon Marsh was 0 for 1, but walked 3 times, so that's good to see. Some good batting, plate discipline with Brandon Marsh. And Jake Cave was 1 for 3 with a walk and 1 strikeout. Not too shabby for coming up from AAA, especially with the kind of AAA that Jake has been boasting. But tonight, only scored 5 runs, as I said earlier, off of 8 hits and 8 walks, but 9 strikeouts. And that and the left on base number is going to be the one that haunts us continually until they can be more consistent. Now, real quick, I want to remind you guys that I'm going to talk about pitching now. But before we get into pitching, I remind you that this segment is going to be brought to you by Dolan's Bar, 2040 Sellers Avenue, right in Ridley Park, right in Delaware County. Great Quizzo music, great times, food, memorabilia giveaways. You never know what former ex-Philly athlete is going to be hanging out at the end of the bar, just chilling out and having a good night at dolansbar.com, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, you name it. PJ's always up to something, always good stuff at Dolan's. Just there today. Love PJ, love that place. It's amazing. Check it out. Let's see. Matty B's chiming in. 187. Wow. Yes. It's Kyle Schwarber. It's 187. But OPS is 753. This is what he is. I know it's not an answer, Matty B, but this zebra stripes won't change, man. I keep telling you this. But it's the clutch moments that he does have, and we've seen it as of lately. It's funny. It's like Matty always gets the games, it seems like, when Kyle does really well, so he has to sit there and defend his stance. And then I'm getting the games when Kyle's not doing great, and I'm sitting there defending my stance. But yes, Matty B. Just a whopping 187. It's just shouldn't tickle you in any certain way. But the answer, it is what it is not the answer that Matty B likes to hear from me. Real quick, we're going to run through the scoring right now. Bottom of the first, the Guardians strike first. Josh Bell doubles, and Jose Ramirez scores, making it 1-0 Cleveland. Same inning, David Fry singles, and Josh Naylor scores, making it 2-0 Cleveland. Then the Phillies take one back in the top of the third when Nick Castellanos grounds out, but allows Trey Turner to score, which makes it 2-1 Cleveland, cutting the lead in half and just down to 1 run. But that wouldn't be like that too long, because in the bottom of the fourth, Stephen Kwan singles to the ground ball to Castellanos and scores David Fry, making it 3-1. Bottom of the fifth, they add on another one. Again, David Fry is involved with this one. And which he grounds out, a force out, but allows a score to occur, and it's 4-1 Cleveland. To the sixth, and I talked about this. Bases loaded. Kyle Schwarber at bat. They walk him in 4 pitches. They walked in. Bryson Stott walks in. It is now 4-2 Cleveland still, but now it's cut in half. Bottom of the sixth. This is where Cleveland gets their last 2 runs that the rest they're going to need for the rest of the scoring they're going to do for the rest of the game. When Ahmed Rosario singles, scoring Miles Straw, making it 5-2, and then Josh Naylor singles, scoring Stephen Kwan, making it 6-2 Cleveland. Phillies look like they have a little life at the top of the 7th. JT Realmuto homers with Bryce Harper on base, making it a 6-4 game. And right after that, back-to-back home runs. I believe they said it was the first time this year, which I don't know if I find that hard to believe. I don't know about you guys. I don't know if it's hard to believe, but the first time they had back-to-back home runs, but it is what it is. Making it 6-5, Cleveland still, which would allow some chance in the rest of the 7th and the 8th and 9th for the Phillies to try to capitalize, at least score a run and tie the game. But of course they did not. So that would be the end of the game. Final score 6-5. Phillies fall to the Guardians. Walt's chiming in here. Let's see what Walt's got to say. Could you imagine if the Phillies started out like the Rays and we're now in second place? We'd be saying the Phillies suck. The Phillies are just like 2022. Yeah, and listen, I get it, Walt. I really do, and I understand what you're saying. And that kind of goes back to what I was saying, and me and Matty B went back and forth on that. This is who they are. And the comparison to 2022 continues to happen. It continues to come up, and I hate to do that though, because every year they're a different team. But there is in baseball, there is just times when teams do a lot of mirrored things, even though there's different players. I remember when they were going in to play Arizona, and they, we all knew like this team's struggling. It's the beginning of June. Arizona was, I'm probably at the time the best team in baseball. The Braves right behind them. And we were talking about the history of us versus the Diamondbacks and going back like 5+ years. And that's tons of different teams, good Phillies teams and bad Phillies teams. And they just notoriously stunk out there, but went out there and took 3 or 4. I mean, you have to break the cycle somewhere, but there is too many similarities. The only thing that scares me, Walt, with that, what you're there, I'm hoping that's not in their brain. I really hope that that's not in their brain. Well, we did this last year. Look how we got to the World Series. Sure. Don't worry, guys. It'll come to us. We deserve it. I hope that's not what's going on in their heads. I don't think it is. I really don't. I don't think it is. But that 2022 comparison continues to come up. Listen, would it be nice if this team was just the best team in baseball, rolled it right through the playoffs to the World Series, won the World Series? Yeah, but that's not Philly, and that's not how it's going to happen. If we win, it's going to, let's be honest. When this team was really red hot, like let's go back to 2009 and 2010. Best team in baseball, or at least close to it most of the time. And they fell short 2009 of winning a back-to-back World Series. The Yankees, we all remember. In 2010, they didn't get past the first round against St. Louis with the 4 aces at the helm. We all remember how that happens. We still, and that's the same series where Ryan Howard ruptured his Achilles. So maybe it's better off this team. And I know this is just me trying to find a silver lining, in this situation. But maybe it's better this team isn't the best team in baseball and just rocking and rolling our way through. I mean, look at the Mets last year. Mets were dominant. I mean, in points, 10, 12 games, just like the Braves are right now. Just dominant. And I see a lot of Braves fans out there puffing their chest and talking about, I mean, if you remember that team, they got ahead of the Mets at the end of the season, but they came into Philly and they lost to Philly. Only won 1 game in the playoffs against them. So before you puff your chest out, that means this means nothing until you get into the playoffs. Then that means everything. It's just you got to play well enough to get in the playoffs here. I want first place, but let's just get some standing room and let's move up and get some in space behind us. And let's look at that wild card real quick. Let's look at this real quick. Let me bring this down, Saul Watts. Let's see. So, like I said, Arizona is in first place in the West. I'm sorry, not in the West. Atlanta's the first place in the East, of course, with a 62-33 record. Dodgers are the first in the West, and Milwaukee are the first in that Central Division. Arizona's got the top wild card spot. San Fran's got the second. Of course, we're seeing a third because Miami lost one measly percentage point ahead of Miami right now, and likely they're just on a 7-game losing streak. Of course, like that's my thing here. This is what goes on. We can't capitalize on these moments. Look at this. Look at all these L's. Look at all these L's except ours. I lost one here. They're 4 for 6. Lost one tonight. 7-3, but lost 3 in a row. 2-8, lost 7 in a row. And we still can't get up any further. Still 2 games behind, 1.5 games behind. This is what I'm saying. This is where that Miami series and that's where this last Milwaukee series is going to burn us. And if they do the same thing here in Cleveland, that window of opportunity is going to shrink because before the All-Star break, all you can keep saying there's plenty of baseball. There's plenty of baseball. And there still is good amount of baseball. But we're not there at plenty of baseball anymore. Now we're at a good amount of baseball. Then there's a decent amount. And then there's some baseball left. And when the window shrinks more over time. So that is your wild card standings for tonight. I'm going to stop sharing this one. Let's look over here at the East. The standings in the East. As I said to you guys earlier, the Braves have a dominant lead, 10.5 games ahead of us, who are in second place at 62-33. We're at 52-44, 10.5 games behind. Marlins are 53-46 at 11 games behind. The Mets are 45-51 at 17.5 games behind. And the Nationals are 39-58, and they're at 24 games behind. And the Mets, man, I don't like rubbing dirt in the wound. I know we just lost tonight. Man, just the silliness, the ridiculousness of things that's going on in their games. It looks like a gosh darn circus. And, I mean, could you imagine? They have a bigger payroll than we do. Yeah, let that settle in. Big old payroll, big old nasty payroll. And they're sitting where they're sitting. This could have been us, guys. Just remember that. This could have been us. So let's not get cocky, but at the same time, thank God. Just, we're not. If we were Mets fans right now, we'd be spitting nails, okay? Spitting nails. But real quick, let's go around the league real quick and check out the scores from today. The Cubs beat the Cardinals 4-3. San Diego beat the Tigers 5-4. The Rays beat the Orioles 3-0. The Rockies beat the Marlins 6-1. The Nationals beat the Giants. Thank you, Nationals, 5-3. The Yankees beat the Royals 5-4. The Mets-Sox game, it's in Boston. Bad weather. The game was suspended, I believe, like in the 4th inning. They're going to pick it back up tomorrow at 2:10 p.m., they said. I think I saw that in the tweet. 2:10 p.m., and they're going to pick it back up in the 4th. I don't even know if there was a score at that point or not, but that game was suspended due to weather. The Diamondbacks lost. The Diamondbacks, again, another team in front of us, lost to the Reds. The Dodgers beat the Rangers 11-5. The Braves beat the Brewers 6-4. The Twins beat the White Sox 9-4. The Angels are taking on the Pirates right now in Los Angeles or Anaheim, whatever. The bottom of the 8th right now. They're up 8-5. Houston is up 6-4 on the Athletics in Oakland. It's the middle of the 8th now. And the Blue Jays are up 1-0 on the Mariners in Seattle, top of the 7th. And that is your out-of-town scores for tonight. And tomorrow, the Phillies will be taking on the Guardians in Cleveland again for Game 2 of the 3-game series. I believe that the game is at 7:10. And let me see right quick who your matchup will be. And that is Mr. Zach Wheeler taking on Bibby. So I'm hoping we can get a good outing from Zach. Hoping we can get a good outing from all these teams, all these players in this on this team. It's just everybody's struggling right now. When the whole team struggles, it's not good. I mean, some defensive, snafus at times. The bats aren't, they always wait to the last minute. Now they're just playing a little too far from behind. And pitching hasn't been as crisp and good lately. So, guys, that is it for tonight. I want to remind you that this was all brought to you by our great sponsors over at Philly or at Sherry'sTickets.com. Use that promo code EOP10 to get 10% off. And if you want to travel with the team, travel with the best, go with PhillySportsTrips.com. The Ultimate San Diego trip's coming up, or you can go out to London, or there's a million other trips, all the away games for the Eagles, you name it, they got it. PhillySportsTrips.com. David R. Cherry's the man, workers' comp, motor vehicle, personal injury, criminal law. Give him a call at 610-565-0300, cherryinjurylaw.com. Dave Cherry will fight for your rights in any one of these workers' comp, motor vehicle, personal injury, criminal law needs. Cherryinjurylaw.com, or the number again is 610-565-0300. And don't forget Dolan's Bar. Can't get out to the game, can't travel with Philly Sports Trips. You go hang out with Dolan. Stay local. If you're like, hey, I'm in Delco, I'm in the city. We're just an exit or two south of the airport. Or we're right, if you're in Delaware, a couple exits north across that borderline, right off 95. Dolan's Bar. Go check it out. You won't be sorry. A lot going on tonight. A lot going on today or this week. And if you're like, yeah, I missed half the week, it's Friday and Friday night. So all you have is Saturday and Sunday left on your schedule. Well, you're like, I really wanted to hear what they have to say. Anywhere you get your podcast, we podcast everything except for the final. So go check it out. Tomorrow morning, 9 a.m., Patterson and Fanatics are back with the Phightins final tomorrow. And then 9 a.m. on Sunday, I'll be producing with Pat and Mike for PM and the AM with another Phightins final and all across to end off the week. So, guys, I want to thank you all for joining us. I will see you guys next time. Enjoy your night. Go Phils.